Greetings, everyone. I am compelled to do this video because of the number of people, women in particular, who have reached out to me because of the last 4 videos, not the last consecutive 4 videos, but the videos that were sort of piggybacking on each other, where folks were sort of feeling scared for a young lady who is in a current situation or relationship. Now, no one knows the detail of her partnership, but sometimes people look at what they call red flags and they respond. I did too, hence the reason for those videos. But the outpouring of support for those videos, remains obvious to so many people who are commenting or liking or sharing it. And a lot of person on the surface would think, well, people are gravitating towards these videos because, they love mix up and things like that. But no, a lot of women are going through these things. And when they recognize certain alarming signals, it sort of trigger them. It triggered me, and that's why I spoke. And I believe as older women, when we've had certain experiences in our life, when we recognize them, it is our job to instruct or to guide the young people, okay? Now, I have over 100 unopened voice messages. That is how much individuals reach out to say, you know what? When I see this or that, it scares me because that's what I'm going through now, or that's what I had to escape from. There are women who have experienced domestic abusive situations and have had to escape and now live in shelters trying to figure out themselves, figure out their lives. And I'm going to say to you, you're better off being in that situation where people can refer to you as homeless, where you're safe, than being in a big sprawling mansion and you have to be sleeping with one eye open. Okay? So the question here, these voice notes and these emails that I received sort of triggered this question that I'm going to ask. And more than one question, but one is, what are the signs of an abusive partner? Number one. And number two, what can you do to get out? Number one sign that you're in an abusive situation is when you hear people in your life, whether it's your family or your friends or co-workers or individuals, notice these are obvious signs, because there are times when it's not obvious, but obvious signs that you are enduring physical, dangerous encounters, because I have to play around with it because, this YouTube street is just censoring everybody. Now, the signs is when people, even though you're hiding it, people on the outside start noticing. So they'll see physical marks. And usually these women are very good at making excuses. I ran into a door, I fell down, all kinds of excuses to protect. Now, these individuals who are protecting these people who are doing harm to them, understand it's a part of the process. It's a part of that emotional and psychological control. So because these individuals love their partner, they're always thinking that at some point, I'm going to be able to get things going back to the way it used to be. So the people in your life, in your environment, where you work, or, friends that you're close to, they notice. And for example, number two, things are happening gradually. So they don't, on your first date, say something to you abusive, or they don't do anything to you physically. It's a gradual process. And, these individuals, some of these individuals are telling me we're in long-term marriages, 10, 15, even 20 years. And at first, what seemed like, oh, he loves me so much, the attention he gives to me, He just wants me all to himself, is really control. They thought it was love, unwavering love, because he paid so much attention. You know, he'll tell you, I don't want you to go anywhere, I'll take you. And it feels nice when you're just meeting someone. You know, this person is taking me places, he won't let me go anywhere by myself. But usually that is a sign of an abusive partner. So it's a gradual process to the point where, you know, what first seemed like extra love or extra attention really was the person trying to control you. Then they eventually tell you how to be. You know, I don't like the way you are. Something is wrong with you as you are. You need to change. They tell you who you should hang out with. They tell you, you know, when you're going to make your move. And at first they would seem supportive, but usually they inject themselves in all your decision. And before you know it, all your friends are gone. They never tell you, I don't like your friend or whatever, but they find a way to separate you from them. So at first, you're usually okay with these decisions. You're usually okay with the partner having so much say. But then after a while, you yourself start to recognize it. And so you might start resist or try to resist this control. But it's when you start to resist the control, that is when things spiral. That is when they'll start to exercise emotional or physical force. Take your phone, take your keys, you know, take your bank card, you know, things that they're supposed to do to continue to support you. They withhold their support. And at that point, when you realize sometimes that you're in this situation, it's late, it's too late. You're already in it and you can't just get out of it like that. So you get to that place where there's pain and shame. You're holding this to yourself. You're not telling anybody. And, you know, during the pain and shame, when, you know, you go through the physical or the mental or emotional abusive situation, it goes right back to the honeymoon. So it's that unhealthy thing between the pain and shame and that honeymoon phase. And that period of isolation, again, that comes after the honeymoon wears off. And you leaving, because sometimes you find the strength to leave. You go to your mom's, or you might go to a shelter or to a friend. But listen, the honeymoon, you always remember the honeymoon. So you're going to go back. They're going to come and say, I'm sorry. And, you know, you see that beautiful side of the person that you are in love with. And then you go right back to the cycle. Here, you move from pain and shame to the end, which is tragedy. And this is why you have to be able to recognize the signs. You have to move through past the pain and the shame, the honeymoon, the isolation, you know, that saying, okay, it's over, leaving and coming back. They're very good at convincing you that the reason why they behave that way is because of psychological trauma in their past or because of things that you've done. And you see it playing itself out time and time again. As I said in one video, some men you cannot leave unless you're prepared to change your life, to go in hiding and to change your identity if that's what it takes. Okay? It's a very serious thing, and so many women are suffering in silence. Some of the women that are talking under these comment section, they're very angry because they're going through it themselves. And the unfortunate thing is, sometimes they can't share their story with friends or family because they'll throw it back in their face. Or what is supposed to be a private thing that you manage to reach out to somebody and share, they'll go and tell other persons in the community or tell other people that you know, and it just, you know, adds to the shame. What I want to say, you should not feel ashamed if you're in a violent situation or you're with an abusive partner. They're the ones who need to be ashamed, not you. But when people, more than one, not just bad mind friends, because sometimes we think people are just jealous of a relationship, but people in your work, people who you don't know, or individuals start to suspect and ask you questions, all of these persons can't lie. They're not mistaken. They recognize it. They see it for what it is, sometimes even before you do. Sometimes you're thinking, oh, the person punched a hole in the wall because they were just angry, but they don't mean anything by it. That is a great sign of aggression. That is dangerous. you're having a discussion with somebody or a disagreement, and while you're talking to you, they're folding their fist, or they throw something. That is aggression. It's not something to ignore. While they're giving you these ultimatums, that's a sign of aggression. Okay, when they tell you have no alternative or no choice, and they don't want you to consider anything that is for your betterment, in terms of you saying, I want my peace, and they're saying, oh, well, that too bad, too sad, this is how it's going to go. These are all red flags that you should not ignore.